The rain hammered my garage roof like 1,000 angry fists while I lay under my Ford, oil dripping onto my forearms. That's when I heard Angela's voice drift through the cracked window, sharp and clear as broken glass. "He's so easy to fool, Mon. I could do so much better. Hell, I deserve better. Watch this. I'll have him eating out of my hand by the weekend." Monica's laugh cut through the downpour. "You're terrible, Angie. But honestly, you're right. Kevin's just, I don't know, basic." I stayed frozen under that car, wrench in hand, as my wife of 12 years casually gutted me with her best friend as witness. The oil kept dripping. My heart kept beating. And somewhere in my chest, something fundamental cracked wide open. Welcome to my life, or what was left of it. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm Kevin Brennan, 38 years old, mechanic at Patterson's Auto Shop in this dying upstate New York town where everyone knows your business before you do. I bought this house when I was 25, back when I thought hard work and honest living meant something. Back when I thought a woman like Angela Reeves would see past my grease-stained hands to the man underneath. Turns out, she saw exactly what she wanted to see. A project. A fixer-upper. Something to renovate and flip. I rolled out from under the Ford, stood up slowly, and walked to that window. Through the rain-streaked glass, I could see them in my kitchen. My kitchen. Angela in her expensive silk blouse, Monica in designer jeans, both holding wine glasses that cost more than my weekly paycheck. "Trevor's taking me to the Lakeside Inn this weekend," Angela said, examining her manicured nails. "Kevin thinks I'm at a legal conference in Albany." Trevor, T-Dog, our family friend. The slick real estate agent who'd sold us our vacation timeshare, who came to our barbecues, who shook my hand while apparently planning to screw my wife. Of course, why not just call himself Homewrecker and save everyone the trouble? Monica leaned in conspiratorially. "Does he suspect anything?" "Kevin!" Angela laughed. Actually laughed. "He's too busy with his cars and that pathetic boxing gym. He thinks we're happy." I stood there in the rain, oil-stained and invisible, watching my marriage dissolve through a kitchen window. The sarcastic voice in my head, the one that had gotten me through 12 years of Angela's subtle condescension, whispered, "Ah, true love," now, with extra humiliation. But beneath the sarcasm, something darker stirred, something patient and cold. I didn't confront them that night. Instead, I showered, changed, and joined them in the kitchen with a smile that felt like broken glass in my mouth. "Hey, babe," I said, kissing Angela's cheek. She didn't even flinch. "Monica, good to see you." "Kevin!" Monica's voice was too bright, too performative. "We were just talking about Angela's big conference this weekend." "Yeah, Albany, right?" I grabbed a beer from the fridge. "Boring legal stuff." "So boring," Angela agreed, not meeting my eyes. "But it's important for my career." Her career. Her beautiful, ascending legal career at Whitmore & Associates, where she wore tight skirts and made junior partners nervous. Where she'd transformed from the sweet paralegal I'd married into someone who introduced me at parties as her little project. I drank my beer and played the fool. It's amazing how easy it is when people expect nothing from you. Monica left around 10. Angela went straight to bed, claiming exhaustion. I waited until her breathing deepened, then carefully retrieved her phone from the nightstand. No passcode. She'd never bothered to hide anything from me before. The texts were all there, dozens of them, weeks of evidence. Trevor's contact name was indeed T-Dog, because apparently my life had become a bad country song. T-Dog. Can't wait for this weekend. Booked the suite with the hot tub. Angela. Kevin actually believed the Albany story. He's so trusting it's almost sad. T-Dog. When are you going to leave him? Angela. Soon. Once I make partner. Can't risk the optics right now. His house is premarital property anyway. I won't get that in the divorce. My house. The one I'd bought with my own sweat and savings before I ever met her. I kept scrolling, my hands remarkably steady. There were photos, nothing explicit, but intimate enough. Restaurant receipts, hotel confirmations, the Lakeside Inn, this coming weekend, Friday through Sunday. I took screenshots, emailed them to myself from her phone, then carefully deleted the sent message. Covered my tracks like the trusting fool she thought I was. That night I didn't sleep. I lay next to my wife, my cheating, ambitious, condescending wife, and planned. The next 3 days crawled by like wounded animals. I went to work, changed oil, replaced brake pads, made small talk with customers. At night, I went to Sal's boxing gym, the blue-collar sanctuary where men like me went to hit things legally. "You're hitting harder than usual," Coach Donnelly observed Thursday night, watching me demolish the heavy bag. He was 65, ex-Marine, with a face like weathered leather and eyes that missed nothing. "Woman trouble? How'd you guess?" "Been doing this 30 years, kid. I know the difference between working out and working through something." He tossed me a towel. "Want to talk about it?" "Not yet." "Fair enough. But Kevin, whatever you're planning, and I know you're planning something, don't do anything that puts you in a cell. Revenge is a dish best served without a criminal record." I nodded, filing that advice away. Friday came. Angela packed her overnight bag with theatrical precision, kissing my cheek before heading out. "I'll miss you," she lied. "Miss you too," I lied back. Then I waited exactly 30 minutes, grabbed my keys, and followed her GPS tracker. Yes, I'd installed one on her car 3 days ago. Sue me. Actually, don't. I'd already consulted a lawyer about that. Turns out, if you own the vehicle, it's legal. One of the few advantages of being the blue-collar spouse who actually bought things. The Lakeside Inn was exactly as advertised. Moderately upscale, discreet, the kind of place where married people went to not be married. Angela's silver BMW sat in the parking lot next to Trevor's flashy red Camaro. Subtle, Trevor. Real subtle. I parked 3 rows back and watched, waited. The sarcastic voice in my head provided commentary. And here we see the cheating wife in her natural habitat, about to mate with the slick real estate agent. Fascinating. But beneath the sarcasm, that cold, patient thing inside me was taking notes. I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I walked to Trevor's Camaro, his pride and joy, the car he waxed every Sunday and posted about on social media like it was his firstborn child. I slashed all 4 tires. The knife was sharp, the rubber thick but yielding. Each tire deflated with a satisfying hiss. Then I pulled out the note I'd prepared, printed, not handwritten, because I'm not stupid, and tucked it under his windshield wiper. "Hope she's worth the walk home." A concerned citizen. Petty? Absolutely. Satisfying? You have no idea. I was back in my truck, pulling out of the parking lot, when I noticed the security camera pointed at that exact spot, and the older woman standing on the motel balcony across the street, phone raised, clearly filming. "Well," I muttered, "that's going to be interesting." Angela stormed into the house Sunday night like an avenging angel, except angels don't usually lead with threats of legal action. "You slashed Trevor's tires." She threw her bag on the floor. "You followed me. I what?" I looked up from my beer, the picture of calm. I defended my marriage, expressed my feelings through automotive modification. "This isn't funny, Kevin." "You're right. It's not." I stood up slowly. None of this is funny. Not the affair, not the lies, not you mocking me to your best friend in my own kitchen. Her face went white. You heard that?" "Every word. He's so easy to fool." "I deserve better. Should I go on, or do you want to keep pretending you have the moral high ground here?" She recovered quickly. Lawyers are good at that. "So you admit you vandalized Trevor's property. That neighbor filmed you, Kevin. She sent me the video. I could press charges. I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Go ahead. Let's get everything out in the open. The affair, the lies, all those texts about leaving me once you make partner. I'm sure your bosses at Whitmore and Associates would love to hear about your personal life drama. Very professional. You went through my phone? You left it unlocked next to our bed. Our bed, Angela, the one you still sleep in between your hotel visits. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. We need to talk about this like adults. Sure, right after you leave. Leave? This is my house too. Actually, it's not. I bought this place 3 years before we met. Premarital property. My lawyer confirmed it. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to pack a bag and stay somewhere else while we figure this out. Maybe Trevor's place? I hear he's got a nice setup. You can't kick me out. Watch me. I pulled a new key from my pocket. I changed the locks this morning. Your key won't work anymore. You've got 20 minutes to pack essentials. Everything else we'll figure out through lawyers. Angela's face cycled through shock, rage, and finally, calculation. You're making a mistake, Kevin. I'm an attorney. I will destroy you in divorce court. Maybe, but you'll do it from somewhere else. Clock's ticking, babe. She packed. She raged. She threatened. But 20 minutes later, she was gone. Taillights disappearing down our street, while neighbors' curtains twitched. I locked the door behind her, cracked another beer, and waited for the fallout. It came faster than expected. Monday morning at Patterson's auto shop, I was elbows deep in a transmission when my boss, Frank Patterson, called me into his office. Kevin, we need to talk. Frank was 55, balding with permanently grease-stained hands and a heart bigger than his vocabulary. He'd given me my first real job at 19, taught me everything about engines and nothing about women. What's up, Frank? He shifted uncomfortably. Look, I don't like getting involved in personal stuff, but Angela's lawyer called this morning, making noises about harassment, stalking, property damage. Her lawyer? She works at a law firm, Frank. She is a lawyer. Different lawyer. Some bulldog named Patricia Hendricks from Albany. She's saying you're unstable, that Angela's afraid to be around you. I laughed. Couldn't help it. I'm unstable? I'm not the one screwing the real estate agent. Frank winced. Yeah, I heard about that. Whole town's heard about that. Which is kind of the problem, Kevin. This is a small business. I can't afford drama. Are you firing me? No, God, no. You're the best mechanic I've got. I'm just saying, maybe keep your head down for a while. Let the lawyers handle it. I nodded, understanding what he couldn't say. My humiliation was becoming public entertainment, and it was bad for business. At lunch, I drove to Sal's gym. Coach Donnelly was training a teenager on the speed bag, but he waved me over. Heard you kicked Angela out, he said without preamble. Ballsy move. How did you... Kid, this is Millbrook. Everyone knows everything. Hell, Betty at the diner was taking bets on how long before you snapped. He studied my face. You okay? Define okay. Fair point. He handed me gloves. Go 10 rounds on the bag. Work it out. I worked it out. Sweat, impact, the satisfying thud of leather on canvas. Each punch was Trevor's face, Angela's smirk, Monica's laugh. After, in the locker room, 2 guys I'd known for years, Jake and Marcus from the construction crew, walked past without acknowledging me. Hey, Jake! He glanced back, uncomfortable. Oh, hey, Kevin. Look, we're running late. What's going on? Marcus, the bigger of the two, stopped. Man, we don't want to get involved in your drama with Angela. Her firm handles legal stuff for our company. It's just complicated. Complicated. Yeah, sorry, man, nothing personal. They left. I stood there in my sweaty workout clothes, watching friends become strangers because my wife's professional connections made me radioactive. Coach Donnelly appeared beside me. That's how it works, kid. She's got the education, the connections, the power. You're just the mechanic. In this town, that makes you expendable. So what do I do? His eyes glinted. You get smart. You stop reacting and start planning. And you remember, the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting ahead. Tuesday, the social media assault began. My daughter, God, I hadn't even mentioned Brittany yet. 19 years old, home from community college for the summer, completely her mother's child. Ambitious, image-conscious, embarrassed by her blue-collar dad. She posted a TikTok that went viral in our small town. A montage of photos showing our modest house, my old truck, me in my work uniform, all set to audio about disappointing parents. The caption, when your dad's midlife crisis ruins your mom's career. Embarrassed, our mom deserves better. 3,000 views in 6 hours. Comments ranged from supportive, your mom is so strong, to brutal, your dad looks like he peaked in high school. I called her. She didn't answer. I texted, really, Brittany? Public humiliation? Her response, you humiliated mom first. Trevor's tires? Changing the locks? Everyone's talking about how crazy you are. You're making our whole family look bad. I'm making us look bad? Not your mother's affair? Mom says you were emotionally distant for years, that you drove her to Trevor. And honestly, Dad, I believe her. You're always at that gross gym or working on cars. When did you ever prioritize family? I stared at that message for a long time. My own daughter rewriting history to justify her mother's betrayal. I didn't respond. What could I say? Wednesday brought the town barbecue at Riverside Park, an annual tradition I'd normally skip. But this year, I needed to show my face. Needed to prove I wasn't hiding. Big mistake, Ig. Angela was there with Trevor, both dressed casually expensive, working the crowd like politicians. Trevor's hand rested possessively on Angela's lower back. She laughed at his jokes, touched his arm, performed the role of woman who upgraded. I grabbed a beer from the cooler and tried to blend into the background. Monica found me first. Kevin? Didn't expect to see you here. Her smile was poison wrapped in sweetness. Brave of you, considering. Considering what, Monica? Well, you know, everything, she gestured vaguely. The whole tire-slashing incident, kicking Angela out, your daughter's viral video, people are talking. Let them talk. Oh, they are. Trust me. She leaned in, voice dropping. Between you and me, Angela's better off. Trevor treats her like a queen, takes her to nice restaurants, buys her jewelry. When's the last time you did anything like that? The sarcastic voice in my head suggested several creative responses, but I kept it simple. When's the last time Trevor wasn't sleeping with someone else's wife? Monica's smile faltered. That's not fair. Neither is ambushing me at a barbecue, but here we are. I walked away before I said something I'd regret. Found a spot near the grills where Frank and some other guys from work were talking shop. Safe territory. Then Trevor approached. Kevin, good to see you, man. He extended his hand like we were old friends, like he hadn't been screwing my wife for months. I stared at his hand until he lowered it. Look, Trevor said, dropping the friendly act. I know this is awkward, but Angela and we didn't plan this. It just happened. These things happen. These things. Yeah. Sometimes people grow apart. Sometimes they find connections elsewhere. It's not personal. Not personal. I repeated his words slowly, tasting them. You're sleeping with my wife, but it's not personal. We're all adults here, Kevin. Angela's made her choice. Maybe it's time you accepted that and moved on. The crowd around us had gone quiet. Frank touched my elbow in warning, but I shrugged him off. You're right, I said calmly. We are all adults. So let me explain something to you, Trevor, in adult terms. You're a parasite. You sell overpriced real estate to desperate people. You drive a car you can't afford, and you seduce married women because single ones see through your bullshit. Angela thinks she's trading up, but she's really just trading one kind of broke for another. Enjoy the ride while it lasts, because when she's done with you, and she will be done with you, you'll understand exactly how disposable you really are. Trevor's face went red. You're just bitter because she chose me. No, Trevor. I'm bitter because I wasted 12 years on someone who values a man by his car and his credit limit. But that's on me. You, though? You're just the symptom of her disease. I walked away to scattered applause from the blue-collar crowd and shocked silence from everyone else. Angela caught up with me in the parking lot. That was completely inappropriate, she hissed. So is bringing your boyfriend to a community event where everyone knows you're still married to me. But hey, you've never cared much about appropriate, have you? I want a divorce, Kevin. Fast and clean. You can keep your precious house. I just want out. Fast and clean? After you dragged my name through the mud? After our daughter made me a viral joke? After you turned my friends against me? I laughed, and it sounded harsh even to my own ears. No, Angela, you want out? We'll do this the slow, messy way. Through lawyers and depositions and discovery. I want every text message, every hotel receipt, every lie documented for the record. Why? What's the point? The point, I said, unlocking my truck, is that you don't get to rewrite this story. You don't get to be the victim. Everyone's going to know exactly what you did and who you really are. I drove away, leaving her standing in the parking lot, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt something other than pain. I felt purpose. The lawyer I hired was nothing like Angela's silk suit colleagues. Daniel Foster worked out of a cramped office above the hardware store, wore off-brand ties, and had a reputation for winning ugly cases through sheer stubbornness. So you want to burn her down? He said, after I'd explained everything. I want her to face consequences. There's a difference. Is there? He leaned back in his creaky chair. Look, Kevin, I can make this divorce expensive and public. I can subpoena records, depose witnesses, drag out proceedings until you're both broke and exhausted. But I need to know, is this about justice or revenge? Can it be both? He smiled grimly. Sometimes. Here's what we'll do. File for divorce on grounds of adultery. In New York, that's still legally relevant for asset division. We'll request full financial disclosure. Her accounts, credit cards, spending records. We'll depose Trevor, Monica, anyone who knew about the affair. Make it so uncomfortable that settling becomes her best option. And my house? Premarital property, clearly documented. She's got no claim. But Kevin, this strategy will make you unpopular. People don't like the spouse who won't just go quietly. You'll be the bitter ex-husband who couldn't let go. I'm already that guy. Might as well earn it. We filed the next day. Angela's response was swift and vicious. Within 48 hours, I received a restraining order request, claiming I was unstable and potentially violent. The evidence? The slashed tires, the lock change, my aggressive confrontation at the barbecue. The hearing was scheduled for the following Tuesday. I showed up with Daniel and a USB drive full of Angela's text messages. The judge, a tired-looking woman named Hendricks, reviewed both sides. Mr. Brennan, did you slash Mr. Whitmore's tires? I did, Your Honor. Angela's lawyer, the bulldog from Albany, Patricia something, smiled triumphantly. And why did you do that? Judge Hendricks asked. Because I'd just discovered my wife was having an affair with Mr. Whitmore, and I made a poor decision in a moment of emotional distress. I'm not proud of it, but I also didn't threaten anyone or commit any act of violence against a person. I damaged property, which was wrong, and I'm prepared to compensate Mr. Whitmore for the tires. Daniel stood. Your Honor, we'd like to submit evidence that Mrs. Brennan's affair was ongoing for at least 3 months before the tire incident. We'd also like to note that Mr. Brennan has no history of violence, no criminal record, and has maintained steady employment for 19 years. Judge Hendricks reviewed the texts. Her expression shifted from neutral to disapproving. Mrs. Brennan, these messages indicate you were actively deceiving your husband while planning to divorce him for financial advantage. Is that accurate? Angela's lawyer jumped in. Your Honor, my client's private communications. Answer the question, Mrs. Brennan. Angela's voice was small. The marriage was over. I was planning to leave. While still living in his house and accepting his financial support? Silence. The restraining order is denied, Judge Hendricks said. Mr. Brennan, you will reimburse Mr. Whitmore for his tires. $400 sounds reasonable. Beyond that, both parties will maintain appropriate distance and communicate only through attorneys. Next case. I walked out of that courtroom feeling something close to vindication. Patricia caught up with us in the hallway. This isn't over, Mr. Brennan. We'll bury you in discovery. Looking forward to it, I said. But the social war was just beginning. That night, I went to Murphy's Tavern, the local dive where blue-collar workers gathered to complain about life. I needed a beer and familiar faces. I got neither. Jake and Marcus were there, along with half the construction crew. When I walked in, the conversation stopped. Hey guys, I said, sliding onto a bar stool. Jake glanced at Marcus, then back at me. Kevin, didn't know you'd be here. It's my regular spot. Why wouldn't I be? Just thought you'd be laying low after that whole court thing. I won that court thing. Yeah, but... Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Look, man, Angela's firm represents our company, and after you made Trevor look like an idiot at the barbecue, he's been talking to our boss about pulling his real estate contracts. It's getting complicated. So, you're avoiding me because it's complicated. It's not personal, Jake said, echoing Trevor's words from the barbecue. It's just business. Right. Business. I downed my beer in one long swallow. Good to know where I stand. I left without looking back. Outside, the night air was cold and sharp. I sat in my truck, hands on the steering wheel, and let the sarcastic voice in my head run wild. Congratulations, Kevin. You've officially become the town pariah. Your wife's screwing your friend, your daughter hates you, and your actual friends are too scared to be seen with you. What's next? Locusts? But beneath the sarcasm, that cold, patient thing inside me was still planning. Friday night, I did something stupid. Or brilliant. Honestly, I'm still not sure. I drove to Trevor's house, a sleek suburban rental with a 2-car garage and a lawn service. His Camaro, newly equipped with 4 fresh tires, sat in the driveway like a red middle finger. I didn't slash the tires this time. I'd learned that lesson. Instead, I spray-painted "Home Wrecker" across the hood in big dripping letters. Childish? Absolutely. Illegal? Probably. Satisfying? You have no idea. I was back in my truck, pulling away, when I saw Angela's BMW turn onto the street. She'd obviously been staying here, playing house with Trevor. Our eyes met through the windshield. She saw me, saw the spray paint, started screaming. I waved and drove away. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. By Saturday morning, photos of Trevor's vandalized Camaro were all over Facebook. The comments section became a war zone. Team Angela versus Team Kevin, with most of the town picking sides based on class lines. Blue-collar workers thought it was hilarious. White-collar professionals called me unstable. My phone exploded with texts. Brittany, Dad, what is wrong with you? Mom is pressing charges. You're going to jail. Frank, Kevin, you need to call me, now. Daniel Foster, what the hell did you do? Coach Donnelly, Kid, we need to talk. I ignored them all and went to the gym. Coach was waiting, arms crossed. You spray-painted his car. Allegedly. Kevin? He's sleeping with my wife, Coach, in my town, in a house 3 miles from mine, and I'm supposed to just accept it? Be the bigger man? Let them humiliate me without consequences? Yes, Coach said simply, because the alternative is becoming exactly what they're saying you are, unstable, vengeful, dangerous. You're playing into their narrative. Maybe their narrative is right. Maybe I am all those things. He grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to look at him. Listen to me. You want revenge? Real revenge? Then you need to be smarter than this. Spray paint washes off. Vandalism charges don't. You're giving them ammunition. So what do? You wait, you plan, and you hit them where it actually hurts. Where's that? He smiled grimly. Their reputations, their careers, their precious public images. You've been fighting like a street brawler, Kevin. It's time to fight like a chess player. That conversation changed everything. I went home, cracked open my laptop, and started researching. Trevor's real estate business, Angela's law firm, Monica's background, everything. What I found was interesting. Trevor's company had been investigated 3 years ago for predatory lending practices. No charges filed, but the complaints were public record. He'd also declared bankruptcy twice before reinventing himself as a luxury property specialist. Angela's resume, the one posted on her firm's website, claimed she'd graduated summa cum laude from Syracuse. But when I checked Syracuse's records, public information, freely available, her name wasn't on any honors lists. And Monica, sweet, loyal Monica who'd been Angela's best friend since college, she'd worked at Patterson's auto shop 5 years ago before my time. Frank had fired her for stealing from the register. Suddenly, pieces started clicking together. I called Coach Donnelly. I need help, and I need people I can trust. What kind of help? The kind that ruins lives without breaking laws. There was a long pause. Then, come to the gym tomorrow. Bring everything you found. And Kevin? No more spray paint. No more spray paint, I agreed. Sunday morning, I met Coach Donnelly at the gym. He'd brought someone unexpected, his nephew, Ryan, a 30-year-old computer programmer who looked like he'd never thrown a punch in his life. Ryan's going to help you, Coach explained. He's good with research, social media, public records, all the digital stuff you need. Ryan adjusted his glasses nervously. Uncle Sal says you're trying to expose some people who wronged you. I'm happy to help, but I won't do anything illegal. Nothing illegal, I promised. Just creative truth-telling. Over the next 3 hours, we built a case. Ryan found that Trevor's luxury property business was actually a front for flipping foreclosed homes to desperate buyers at inflated prices. Several clients had filed complaints with the Better Business Bureau. One family had lost their life savings. He also discovered that Angela had lied on multiple legal documents about her credentials. Not enough to get her disbarred, but enough to embarrass her firm and damage her credibility. And Monica? She'd been fired from 3 jobs before Patterson's for theft and fraud. She'd even been arrested once, though charges were dropped. Why is Monica relevant? Ryan asked. Because she's the one who pushed Angela and Trevor together, I said, the pieces finally falling into place. She's been orchestrating this whole thing. Coach frowned. What do you mean? Think about it. Monica was at my house the night I overheard them. She's been encouraging Angela to leave me, pushing her toward Trevor. She's the one who sent me that video of the tire slashing. She wanted Angela to know I knew. She's been manipulating both of them. But why? Because I got her fired from Patterson's. Or rather, Frank did. But I'm the one who caught her stealing. I was working late one night, saw her pocketing cash from the register. Reported it to Frank. She got fired the next day. I paused, remembering. She screamed at me in the parking lot. Said I'd ruined her life, that she'd make me pay. And now she is, Coach said quietly. By destroying your marriage. Ryan looked between us. So what's the plan? We expose all of them, I said. Publicly, legally, completely. We show this town exactly who these people are. The plan was simple but required perfect timing. First, I created a website. Nothing fancy, just a clean, professional page titled The Truth About Trevor Whitmore and Angela Brennan. Ryan helped me design it to look legitimate, like a news article or investigative report. On the site, I posted screenshots of Angela's texts, with my lawyer's approval. They were already part of the divorce filing, so legally fair game. Public records of Trevor's bankruptcies and BBB complaints, side-by-side comparison of Angela's resume claims versus actual records, a timeline of Monica's employment history and terminations, Photos of Trevor's vandalized car with my own admission of guilt and apology, taking away their victim narrative. Nothing defamatory, nothing illegal, just facts, publicly available information, and my own documented experiences. Then I waited for the right moment to release it. That moment came Tuesday night at the town council meeting. Millbrook's council meetings were usually boring affairs, zoning discussions, budget reviews, complaints about potholes. But this month's meeting included a vote on whether to approve Trevor's proposal to develop the old waterfront property into luxury condos. The meeting was packed. Trevor was there, presenting his vision with slick PowerPoint slides and promises of economic growth. Angela sat in the front row, supporting her man. Monica was there too, filming on her phone for social media. I sat in the back, laptop ready. When Trevor finished his presentation, the council opened the floor for public comment. I stood up. "I have some concerns about Mr. Whitmore's proposal," I said calmly. Trevor's face went pale. Angela turned around, eyes wide. The council president, an older woman named Doris, nodded. "You have 3 minutes, Mr. Brennan." "Thank you. I'll be brief. Before this council approves a major development project, I think residents should know who they're doing business with. Mr. Whitmore has a history of predatory real estate practices, multiple bankruptcies, and numerous BBB complaints. All of this is public record, which I've compiled on a website for anyone interested in reviewing." I held up a piece of paper with the URL. Trevor jumped up. "This is character assassination. He's my ex-wife's bitter husband." "Actually, we're still married," I corrected. "And everything I've stated is documented fact. I'm not making accusations. I'm providing information." Doris banged her gavel. "Mr. Whitmore, sit down. Mr. Brennan, continue." "I'm also concerned about the council doing business with anyone who engages in extramarital affairs with married residents. It speaks to character and judgment. My wife, Angela Brennan, who works at Whitmore and Associates, has been having an affair with Mr. Whitmore for at least 4 months. I have text messages, hotel receipts, and witness statements to support this." The room erupted. Phones came out. People started typing, presumably looking up the website. Angela stood up, face red. "You have no right." "I have every right to present factual information to a public meeting. Your firm represents several local businesses, including some that would be affected by this development. That's a conflict of interest the council should consider." Doris banged her gavel repeatedly. "Order. This meeting is about the development proposal, not personal drama." "With respect, Doris, it's about both. Who we do business with matters. Character matters. And the character of the people behind this proposal is questionable at best." I sat down. The room exploded into arguments. Trevor and Angela left immediately, followed by Monica. But the damage was done. Half the room was already on their phones, reading the website, sharing it on Facebook. By the time I got home, the site had 3,000 views. By morning, it had 15,000. Wednesday, the consequences began rolling in. Trevor's development proposal was tabled pending further review. Translation: dead in the water. Angela's firm received multiple calls from clients questioning her judgment and professionalism. Her boss, a senior partner named Richard Whitmore, no relation to Trevor, ironically, called her in for a meeting. Monica's current employer, a dental office where she worked reception, discovered her employment history and let her go. And me? I was simultaneously celebrated and vilified, depending on who you asked. Frank called me into his office. "Kevin, that website, it's causing quite a stir." "I know. I'm sorry if it affects the shop." "Are you kidding? Half the town thinks you're a hero. The other half thinks you're a psycho. Either way, everyone's talking about Patterson's Auto because you work here." He grinned. "Business is up 30%. Keep doing whatever you're doing." Coach Donnelly was less enthusiastic. "You went nuclear. I went factual. You went public with private pain. There's a difference. They made my pain public first. I just controlled the narrative." He studied me for a long moment. You know this isn't over, right? People like Angela and Trevor don't go down quietly. They'll retaliate. Let them. I'm ready. The retaliation came from an unexpected source. Brittany. My daughter showed up at my house Thursday night, tears streaming down her face. Dad, you have to take down that website. Why would I do that? Because Mom's going to lose her job, because everyone at my school is talking about it, because you're ruining our lives. I'm ruining your lives? Brittany, your mother had an affair. She lied, cheated, and planned to divorce me for financial gain. I didn't make her do those things. I just made sure people knew about them. But why? Why does everyone need to know? Why can't you just be the bigger person and move on? Because, sweetheart, being the bigger person is what weak people do when they're too scared to fight back. I'm done being weak. She stared at me like I was a stranger. You're not my dad anymore. My dad was kind. You're just mean. Your dad was a doormat. I'm what happens when the doormat gets tired of being walked on. She left sobbing, and I felt nothing. That scared me more than anything else. The realization that I'd become someone capable of hurting his own daughter without flinching. But I was too far in to stop now. Friday afternoon, I received a text from an unknown number. We need to talk, all of us. Saturday, 2 p.m., Lakeside Cabin. Come alone. It was signed by Angela. I showed it to Coach Donnelly. It's a trap. Probably. You going? Absolutely. Then you're not going alone. Saturday morning, Ryan helped me set up. We rigged the cabin, which Angela had apparently borrowed from a colleague, with hidden cameras and microphones, all streaming to a private server. This is legal, right? Ryan asked nervously. New York's a one-party consent state for recordings. As long as I'm present and consenting to record, we're good. And if things get violent? Then we'll have excellent evidence for the police. Coach Donnelly insisted on waiting outside in his truck, just in case. You get in trouble, you yell, I'll hear you. At 2 p.m. exactly, I walked into that cabin. Angela, Trevor, and Monica were waiting. They'd arranged chairs in a circle, like some kind of intervention. Kevin, sit down, Angela said in her lawyer voice. I'll stand, thanks. We want to make a deal, Trevor said. You take down the website, you stop spreading lies about us, and we'll drop all charges related to the car vandalism. What lies? Everything on that site is documented fact. It's defamatory, Monica snapped. You're destroying our reputations. You destroyed your own reputations. I just made sure people knew about it. Angela stood up, trying a different approach. Kevin, please, this has gone too far. We can end this peacefully. I'll agree to a quick, fair divorce. You keep the house, we split other assets 50-50, and we all move on. Why would I agree to that? Because if you don't, Trevor said, we'll make your life hell. We'll sue you for defamation, harassment, emotional distress. We'll drag you through court until you're bankrupt. I smiled. Go ahead. Sue me. I'd love to see you explain to a judge why documented facts constitute defamation. You're insane, Monica hissed. No, Monica. I'm done. There's a difference. I turned to her specifically. You know what's interesting? I figured out that you've been orchestrating this whole thing. You pushed Angela toward Trevor, encouraged the affair, sent me that tire-slashing video, all because I got you fired from Patterson's 5 years ago. Her face went white. You wanted revenge, I continued. So you destroyed my marriage. Congratulations. You succeeded. But here's the thing about revenge, Monica. It's a game two can play. I don't know what you're talking about, she said, but her voice shook. Yes, you do, and so does everyone else now, thanks to my website. Your employment history, your arrests, your pattern of manipulation. It's all there. Angela stepped between us. Kevin, stop. This isn't you. You're right. The old Kevin would have accepted this quietly, would have been the bigger person, would have let you three destroy him without fighting back. I looked at each of them in turn. But the old Kevin is dead. You killed him. This is who's left. Trevor moved toward me aggressively. You need to leave, now. Or what? You'll You'll hit me? Please do. I've got cameras recording this whole conversation. Go ahead, Trevor. Give me a reason to press charges. He froze. You're recording us? One-party consent state. Look it up. Angela's lawyer brain kicked in. If you're recording, then you're admitting to premeditated harassment. I'm documenting a meeting I was invited to. Big difference. Monica started crying. Why are you doing this? What do you want from us? I want you to understand something, I said quietly. Actions have consequences. You can't just destroy someone's life and expect them to disappear quietly. You wanted me gone? Fine. But I'm taking your reputations with me. I pulled out my phone and showed them the screen. Right now, this conversation is streaming live to a private server. If anything happens to me, if I'm attacked, if I disappear, if I suddenly have an accident, everything goes public. Every word you've said, every admission, every threat. That's extortion, Angela whispered. No, that's insurance. Extortion would be if I demanded something in exchange for silence. I'm not demanding anything. I'm just making sure you know that I'm not the easy target you thought I was. I walked toward the door, then paused. The divorce papers are ready. You'll get them Monday. You're right, Angela. This has gone too far, so let's end it. Quick, clean, and final. You get nothing from me except your freedom, and in return, you leave me alone. And the website? Trevor asked. Stays up, forever, a monument to your character. I left them sitting in that cabin, probably planning their next move. But I'd already planned mine. Sunday morning, I took down the website. Not because they'd asked, not because I was scared, but because it had served its purpose. The information was already out there, shared thousands of times on social media, saved and screenshot by half the town. Taking down the original site didn't erase anything. It just showed that I wasn't interested in prolonged warfare. I'd made my point. Monday, Angela signed the divorce papers without contest. Quick, clean, final. She kept her car and her personal belongings. I kept the house and my dignity. Trevor's development project was permanently rejected by the town council. Monica moved to a different town, her reputation in Millbrook destroyed beyond repair. And Brittany? She didn't speak to me for 3 months. But eventually, she called. Dad, can we talk? Of course. I'm sorry. For the TikTok, for taking Mom's side, for everything. I was wrong. You were loyal to your mother. I can't fault you for that. But she lied to me. About everything. About why you split up. About who you are. I believed her because it was easier than admitting my mom was the bad guy. She's not the bad guy, Brittany. There are no good guys or bad guys in divorce. Just people who hurt each other and people who survive. Are you surviving? I thought about that. Yeah, I think I am. 6 months later, I was at Sal's gym working the heavy bag when Coach Donnelly approached. You hear about Angela? No, and I don't want to. She and Trevor broke up. Apparently he was cheating on her with one of his clients. I stopped punching. Seriously? Karma's a bitch. Coach grinned. You feeling vindicated? I'm feeling tired, Coach. Revenge is exhausting. That's because you won. Winning is always exhausting. He handed me a towel. So what now? You going to stay bitter forever, or are you going to actually move on? I don't know. What does moving on look like? It looks like this. You stop checking her social media. You stop caring what people say about you. You focus on your work, your friends, your life. You let the past be past. That simple? That hard. I nodded slowly. I'll try. Good. Because holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You've made them pay, Kevin. Now let it go. That night, I sat on my porch with a beer, watching the sun set over Millbrook. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I hope you're happy. You destroyed 3 lives. I didn't recognize the number, but I recognized the tone. Angela, or Monica, or maybe even Trevor. I typed a response. You destroyed mine first. I just made sure everyone knew about it. Then I deleted it without sending. Coach was right. Holding on to anger was poison. I'd spent 6 months being the villain, and I'd won. I'd destroyed their reputations, ruined their plans, and made them pay for what they'd done. But winning felt hollow. I looked at my house, fully paid off, legally mine, empty except for me. I thought about Brittany, slowly rebuilding our relationship. I thought about Frank and the guys at work, who'd stuck by me when it mattered. I thought about Coach Donnelly, who'd taught me that the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting better. And I realized something. I didn't want to be the villain anymore. I wanted to be the survivor. So I finished my beer, went inside, and started planning my next chapter. Not revenge, not warfare, just life. Moving forward, letting go, surviving. A year later, I was at Murphy's Tavern when Jake and Marcus walked in. "Kevin! Man, it's been forever." Jake slapped my back like we were still friends. "Hey guys. Listen, we're sorry about how we acted during your divorce. We were just trying to stay out of the drama, you know?" "I know." "No hard feelings?" I looked at them. These men who'd abandoned me when things got complicated, who'd chosen sides based on business interests rather than friendship. "No hard feelings," I lied, because that's what survivors do. They lie about forgiveness until it becomes true. They move on. They let go. They stop drinking poison and expecting others to die. And somewhere in that process, they find something better than revenge. Peace. 2 years after the divorce, I ran into Angela at the grocery store. She looked older, tired. The sharp edges had softened into something sadder. "Kevin?" "Angela." Awkward silence. "How are you?" she asked. "Good. You?" "I'm managing. Working at a smaller firm now. Smaller cases, smaller paycheck, but it's fine." "That's good." More silence. "I'm sorry," she said finally. "For everything. For the affair, the lies, the way I treated you. You deserved better." I looked at this woman I'd once loved, once hated, once wanted to destroy, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not even pity. Just nothing. "We both deserved better," I said. "But we got what we got, and now we move on." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I heard you're dating someone. Sarah, right? The teacher?" "Yeah, she's great." "I'm glad. You deserve to be happy, Kevin. Despite everything, I mean that." "Thanks. You too." We parted ways in the cereal aisle, two strangers who used to be married, and I realized this was the real ending. Not the dramatic confrontation at the cabin, not the public humiliation, not the viral website. This. Two people who'd hurt each other, acknowledging it and walking away. No fireworks, no grand gestures, no revenge, just closure. That night, Sarah asked me about the encounter. How did it feel, seeing her again? Honestly, it felt like nothing. Nothing? Yeah, like seeing someone I used to know a long time ago. The anger's gone, the hurt's gone. It's just, over. Sarah smiled. That's called healing, Kevin. Is it? Feels more like forgetting. Sometimes they're the same thing. I kissed her, grateful for this second chance at happiness. The revenge had been satisfying. The victory had been sweet. But this peace, this normalcy, this quiet life with someone who actually loved me, this was better. This was worth surviving for. 3 years after the divorce, Brittany graduated from college. I was there, front row, cheering louder than anyone. Angela was there too, sitting on the opposite side with her new boyfriend, some accountant from Albany, apparently a decent guy. After the ceremony, Brittany hugged us both. Thanks for coming, Dad, both of you. Wouldn't miss it, sweetheart. Angela and I made awkward small talk, our new partners hovering nearby, and I realized we'd become one of those functional divorced families, civil, polite, moved on. It wasn't the ending I'd imagined during those dark months of rage and revenge, but it was the ending I needed. 5 years after the divorce, I sold the house. The place held too many ghosts, good and bad. Time to start fresh. Sarah and I bought a small place together, closer to her school, with a garage big enough for my projects and a yard big enough for the dog we were planning to adopt. On my last night in the old house, I walked through the empty rooms, remembering the kitchen where I'd overheard Angela's betrayal, the bedroom where I'd found the texts, the garage where I'd planned my revenge. All empty now, just walls and floors and memories. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel angry. I felt free. I locked the door for the last time and drove away without looking back. 10 years after the divorce, I ran into Trevor at a gas station. He looked rough, overweight, balding, driving a beat-up sedan instead of his flashy Camaro. Kevin. Trevor. Look, man, I know it's been years, but I wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. What I did was wrong. I was selfish and stupid, and I hurt a lot of people. I studied him. He seemed genuine, broken, but genuine. Apology accepted. Really? Really. It was a long time ago, Trevor. We've all moved on. He nodded, relief flooding his face. Thank you. That means more than you know. We shook hands, two middle-aged men who'd once been enemies, now just tired survivors of our own bad choices. As I drove away, Sarah asked, "How do you feel?" Honestly, I feel like I finally won. By forgiving him? No. By not caring enough to hold a grudge. Revenge was exhausting. Anger was exhausting. This indifference. This is peace. She squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you. For what? For choosing to be happy instead of right. 15 years after the divorce, I got a call from Brittany. Dad, I'm getting married. That's wonderful. Who's the lucky guy? His name is Marcus. He's a teacher like Sarah. We met at a conference. He's amazing, Dad. You're going to love him. I'm sure I will. When's the wedding? Next June. And Dad? I want you to walk me down the aisle. What about your mom? She'll be there too. But you're my dad. You're the one who never gave up on me, even when I gave up on you. So yeah, it has to be you. I cried. Actually cried. Happy tears for the first time in years. At Brittany's wedding, Angela and I stood together in the receiving line, smiling for photos, playing our roles. She's beautiful, Angela said. She is. We did good. We did one thing good, at least. I looked at my ex-wife, older, softer, more human than the villain I'd created in my mind all those years ago. We did our best, Angela. That's all anyone can do. She smiled. When did you get so wise? When I stopped being angry. 20 years after the divorce, I retired from Patterson's auto shop. Frank threw me a party. The whole town showed up, even some of the people who'd taken Angela's side during the divorce. Speech! Someone shouted. I stood up, beer in hand, and looked at these people, my neighbors, my friends, my community. 20 years ago, I went through the worst time of my life. My marriage ended, my reputation was trashed, and I became someone I didn't recognize, someone angry and vengeful and mean. The crowd was silent. I spent months destroying the people who'd hurt me. And you know what? It worked. I won. I got my revenge. I made them pay. I paused. And it was the emptiest victory of my life. Murmurs of agreement. What I learned, what took me years to learn, is that revenge doesn't heal you. It doesn't make you whole. It just makes you someone else's villain. I raised my beer. So, here's to moving on. Here's to forgiveness. Not because people deserve it, but because we deserve peace. Here's to letting go of anger and choosing happiness instead. Here's to second chances and new beginnings. Here's to surviving. The crowd cheered. We drank. We celebrated. And for the first time in 20 years, I felt completely, genuinely, peacefully happy. That night, lying in bed next to Sarah, I thought about the young, angry man I'd been. The one who'd slashed tires and spray-painted cars and built websites to destroy people's reputations. The one who'd chosen revenge over healing. I didn't regret it. Not exactly. That anger had been necessary, a phase I'd needed to go through to get here. But I was grateful it was over. "What are you thinking about?" Sarah asked. "How far I've come." "From where?" "From the person who thought revenge was the answer." "And what's the answer?" I kissed her. "This, right here. This is the answer." 25 years after the divorce, I attended Angela's funeral. She died suddenly. Heart attack, the doctor said. 58 years old, too young. Brittany was devastated. I held my daughter while she cried, this grown woman with children of her own, reduced to a grieving child. At the service, people spoke about Angela's career, her intelligence, her ambition. No one mentioned the affair. No one mentioned Trevor or the divorce or the scandal that had once consumed our small town. Those things didn't matter anymore. They were ancient history, forgotten by everyone except those of us who'd lived through them. I stood at the podium and spoke. Angela was complicated. She was ambitious and flawed and human. She made mistakes. We both did. But she was also the mother of my daughter, and for that, I'll always be grateful. She gave me the greatest gift of my life, and whatever else happened between us, that matters more. After the service, Trevor approached me. He was old now, gray and bent. "That was generous, what you said." It was true. "I'm sorry, Kevin, for everything. I know I said it before, but I mean it. We were young and stupid and selfish. We were human, we made mistakes, and we survived them." He nodded. "Yeah, we survived. 30 years after the divorce, I'm 70 years old. I sit on my porch with Sarah, watching our grandchildren play in the yard. Brittany visits every Sunday with her family. We have dinner, we laugh, we remember. Sometimes we talk about Angela, sometimes we don't. The anger is long gone. The revenge is forgotten. The whole ugly chapter of my life has faded into something distant and dreamlike. What remains is this: family, love, peace, the things that actually matter." One night, Brittany asks me, "Dad, do you ever regret how you handled the divorce? All the revenge, the website, the public humiliation?" I think about it carefully. Yes and no. I regret hurting people, even people who hurt me first. I regret becoming someone I didn't recognize. I regret teaching you that revenge was an acceptable response to pain. But I don't regret standing up for myself. I don't regret refusing to be a victim. And I don't regret fighting back, even if I fought dirty. So, what would you do differently? I'd skip straight to the forgiveness part. I'd save myself years of anger and bitterness and focus on healing instead of hurting. Do you think that's possible? To forgive without revenge first? I don't know. Maybe some people can. I couldn't. I needed to fight back before I could let go. She hugs me. "You're a good man, Dad. You always have been." I'm a man who made mistakes and learned from them. That's all. On my 75th birthday, Sarah throws me a party. The whole town shows up, or what's left of it. Millbrook has shrunk over the years, young people moving away, old people dying off. But the ones who remain remember. They remember the scandal, the divorce, the revenge, and they remember what came after, the healing, the forgiveness, the peace. "Speech!" someone shouts. I stand up, older and slower but still standing. 35 years ago, I was a different person, angrier, meaner, more broken. I did things I'm not proud of, hurt people who'd hurt me, became someone's villain in the name of justice. I look around at these familiar faces. But I learned something important. Revenge is a fire that burns the person holding it. You can't carry anger forever without it consuming you. You can't hold grudges without becoming bitter. You can't seek vengeance without losing yourself. I raise my glass. So here's what I want to say to all of you, especially the young people here. When someone hurts you, and someone will hurt you, you have a choice. You can become their villain, or you can become your own hero. You can seek revenge, or you can seek peace. You can destroy them, or you can rebuild yourself. Choose peace. Choose healing. Choose yourself. Because revenge might feel good in the moment, but peace feels good forever. The crowd applauds, we drink, we celebrate, and I realize this is my legacy. Not the revenge, not the scandal, not the website or the spray paint or the public humiliation. This wisdom, this peace, this is what I leave behind. I'm 80 years old when Sarah dies. 60 years we were together. 60 years of love and laughter and partnership. At her funeral, I speak about second chances and redemption and the power of choosing love over anger. Brittany holds my hand. Her children, my grandchildren, sit beside us. And I realize, this family, this love, this peace, none of it would exist if I'd stayed angry, if I'd held on to revenge instead of letting it go, if I'd chosen to be a villain instead of a survivor. Sarah saved me. Not from Angela or Trevor or the divorce. She saved me from myself, from the angry, bitter man I was becoming, from the poison of perpetual revenge, and for that, I'll be eternally grateful. I'm 85 years old, lying in a hospital bed, when Brittany asks me one final question. Dad, if you could go back and change everything, the affair, the divorce, the revenge, would you? I think about it. Really think about it. About the pain and the anger and the years wasted on bitterness. About the website and the spray paint and the public humiliation. About Angela and Trevor and Monica and all the people I'd hurt in the name of justice. And about what came after. Sarah, peace, family, love. No, I say finally. I wouldn't change anything. Because all of it, the good and the bad, led me here. To you, to your family, to this life. And this life was worth every moment of pain. She cries. I cry. And I realize this is the real ending. Not the revenge, not the victory, not the public humiliation or the viral website or the dramatic confrontation. This moment, this peace. This is what winning actually looks like. I die 3 days later, surrounded by family, at peace with my choices and my life. At my funeral, Brittany tells my story. Not the revenge story, not the scandal, the survival story. The story of a man who was hurt, who fought back, who won, and who ultimately chose peace over perpetual warfare. The story of a man who learned that the best revenge isn't destruction, it's living well. The story of a man who became a villain and then chose to become something better, a survivor, a father, a husband, a friend, a man who learned to let go, and in letting go, found everything that mattered. Years after my death, someone asks Brittany about her father's famous revenge. Wasn't he the guy who destroyed his ex-wife's reputation with that website? Yes, Brittany says, but that's not who he was. That's just what he did in his darkest moment. So who was he? She smiles. He was the man who learned that revenge is easy, but forgiveness is strength. That anger is natural, but peace is chosen. That you can win every battle and still lose yourself. He was the man who chose to survive instead of destroy. He was my dad, and he was enough.